In this video, we're going to look at the Recolor Artwork Dialogue Box within Adobe Illustrator CC 2020. I've started out by designing just a few patterns and some swatches. We're going to start with this bar of swatches down here. Move those up here. And I'm going to start by using the Recolor Artwork Dialogue Box to make three different color schemes that I'm going to, color groups that I'm going to save in my colors panel. And then I will again use the Recolor Artwork Dialogue Box to reformat these these patterns and swatches in three different colorways. So the Recolor Artwork Dialogue Box can be accessed in two different locations in Adobe Illustrator. One of them is in your options bar or your control bar, depending on what you call this bar at the top of your document. The icon is the icon that looks like a faded out color wheel. This will bring up the Recolor Artwork Dialog Box. You can also edit this box under Edit, Edit Colors, and Recolor Artwork. It will work with whatever artwork you happen to have selected. I already have this particular color group selected in my and saved in my swatches for this document. This color dialog box has a ton of stuff going on, which makes it both equally powerful and completely confusing. I'm going to move this over just a bit so we can see those swatches while we're working. And to start with, I really want to introduce you to Edit, because this is one of my, I don't know, I just find it really fun. You can either edit colors or you can assign colors. You can edit colors by looking at a smooth color wheel, a web save kind of dialog, broken out color wheel, or color bars, each color in the color grouping. I tend to look at it in the smooth color wheel. You can add a color or subtract a color from your color wheel. You can work on brightness and hue, or saturation and hue. So this is currently saturation and hue. If I switch this little icon, now I'm working on lightness and darkness rather than the hue scale. So a difference between, do you want to go lighter or darker with your color swatches here. And then last but not least, this is links the harmony of the colors. So it links the relationship, the angle relationship between each of these color spots in this collection. I'm going to go ahead and click the link harmony colors because it just keeps everything together. It keeps it nice and neat. And I want to show you, first off, I can change any one of these colors by selecting it, and then the sliders down here will give me, in this case, hue, saturation, and brightness. If you're more comfortable working in a different color space, the little flyout menu will allow you to set your colors using RGB or CMYK, or if you're doing print, or WebSafe RGB, or tints, or lab colors. So this is, we call it lab color, but it's really L star A star B. The L is lightness, so the light to dark value. A is green to red, and B is blue to yellow. This color model is said to more closely represent the way that color actually works and the way we actually see color. And then there's a global adjustment where you can do all the things all at once. We're going to go ahead and go back to HSB. This little icon right here is going to allow you to limit the color swatches to any predefined set of swatches. So this brings up all of your libraries, all of your color books. So if you want to work with a client and the client needs to use Pantone colors, this is the place that you would lock down the colors only work from the Pantone book. Earth tone colors, all kinds of, these are all the color libraries that come with Adobe Illustrator. We can also access the color groups that are the same color groups that are in our swatches panel. The grays, the brights, those are defaults, and then this color group one that I created. So that's the basic tour of the edit panel. Here's where it gets really fun. I'm going to choose one of these colors, in this case this hot pink. I'm just going to rotate it, and it is going to edit keeps that relationship with all of those colors, but look what's happened to my swatches up here. I actually really like that. Those greens and blues are some of my favorite colors. I think I may want to take this one and just tweak it a little bit. And maybe this blue can come out a little. Saturate it up a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now I have a new set of colors. I'm going to come over to my swatches, and I'm going to use the new color group tool. And I like to make my colors global. What that means is if I edit this color in the swatch, that it's going to edit anywhere that that color is in this document to match the new swatch. That's indicated by this little white tab. In the event that I was using Pantone colors, specific spot colors, that little tab would also have a little dot in it. I'm going to go ahead and we'll call this Cool Blues. Well, yeah, Cool, except they're warm blues. Blue green. We'll just call it blue green. Blue green spring. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And let's do that one more time. This time we're going to use the Assign dialog box instead of the Edit dialog box. Now in the Assign dialog box, most of the things are the same. Here's my first color group, my new one, the brights. We have some other options though. We have presets to determine, is there a color library that I need to use? If I choose color library, that's going to ask me, which color library do I want to use? Do I need to use Pantone? This is the spot that I would be able to say, oh, let's use scientific analogous colors for this. Or earth tone, whatever we would choose. And here, notice, I'm going to move this down so we can see our swatches. It has used the color library and it has recolored those to the closest color in that color library from the pre-existing swatches. In this case, I don't really want to do that. We're going to go back to custom, and I'm actually going to hit cancel so that we can come back in. Takes it just a second. There we go. Come back in. I also can say, you know, I only want a certain number of colors. If you know you're doing a 4-color job and you need to reduce everything down to just 4 colors, how are you going to do that? Well, this device gives you the opportunity to map specific colors to your to each of the shades that you have in your artwork. Now notice here I actually have 2 different shades of green in this slider because that Illustrator has determined that those are the closest in tone and that they could be represented in similar shades. So one of the options you have, so each of these little dialog boxes has, and I can move these around if I decide I really wanted that to map with this blue, then I can move it there. If I really wanted it to map with, maybe I wanted a lighter version of this teal, I can, and it's just click and drag, easy rearrangement of these colors. And if I decide I want to switch these up, like maybe I want this more aqua blue instead of that green, I can click and drag the colors in their assignment also, and it will just replace whatever I had there. Let's move that there and that there and move that there. We have all kinds of fun things going on. Now this has a little drop down box, and this little drop down box is going to give you the power to choose how are those colors applied. Do you want it to be exact? If you say yes, then it's going to replace each of those colors not with a tint, not with a lighter version of that color, but with that exact color. If you choose preserve tints, it's going to keep the existing scale of that tint in the new color scheme. If you choose scale, it's going to look at what is the difference between those 2 colors and make the difference in the new colors accordingly. You can apply it across the board. You can apply it to everything. You can preserve your spot colors, all kinds of options in that drop down box. This little guy allows you to decide what is the best order for how you're going to do these. Do you want to apply them hue forward or backwards? So the closest color, or do you want to go reverse? Do you want to apply them light to dark? Do you want to apply them dark to light, either direction? You have the ability to add a new row, so that's going to add a color. We're going to go ahead and get rid of that. Oh, I lied. We're not going to get rid of that. And then we're also going to have the ability to randomly change the color order. When we do that, notice up here that they switch. And you know what? Since we added a new one, let's go ahead and add that down here. We're going to add a new color to the color harmony. And let's make this color, here I can shift it, let's super saturate it. So down here I'm using the Hue and Saturation dialog boxes to really pick that color. Let's take this one and make it a little bluer. And maybe a little more saturated. So here you can see that I can edit that color combination however I want. Once I've got them where I like it, I can randomly change them. I also can have Illustrator randomly shift their saturation and brightness until I find something that's appealing. Sometimes we get colors that we really like, but we haven't quite gotten to the place where we are happy with the variety, right? That we have a full set of tones. And that is where, so this lets us find those colors in the artwork. In this case, they aren't in this artwork. This is the only spot they are. But I like that. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And we're going to make a third. Actually, I'm going to totally change this really quick because I like those colors, but I want something wildly different. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to Edit. I'm going to link the color harmony, and I am going to rotate it like 180 degrees. So we have something in the purple, blue, red range. And I think I want to lighten it up. So we are going to, let's come back to Assign, and we're going to alter. I'm just going to click and see what it comes up with. And then worst case, if I'm still not happy, I can come into any one of these and edit. Like I just want them to be a little bit lighter, a little bit springier. Let's keep that really saturated, and let's make that let's make this one kind of a really lovely lilac. A little bit purpler, a little bit lighter. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to click OK. And I'm again going to make a new color group with that set of colors. It doesn't matter what I call them. Okay, so now we have played with colors. We have a whole assortment of color groups. Ooh, I'm not loving that one. It's a little too close to this one. So we're going to tweak it up a little bit. Let's pull down the red. Let's make it a little coral-y. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to delete that. Okay, we have this group of artwork. This group of artwork uses colors from our original color scheme. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 copies of this. And I'm going to select the center set. And this center set, I'm going to use Recolor Artwork. We're going to go back into this dialog box. And what's really cool here is I can start by assigning the first color group. Those colors were already in that color group. And I am going to assign them as close as possible, perfect, to their original. Now, this is where this gets really cool. I can instantly change them to our second color scheme, that second group of colors that we had changed, by selecting the next color group. If I'm not happy with the way those colors are falling, like, you know, maybe I want these 2 colors to be different. Maybe I want the blue to be less dominant. Remember, I can rearrange those. And as I do that, my artwork changes. Oh, I like that. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. and I don't need to change that color group. I'm going to come do the same thing with this third one. And notice in my swatches panel, when I do that, it adds new versions of these patterns. So I originally had 3 patterns, this one, and this one. When I applied the new colors, it added those patterns in the new colorway to my swatches panel. Let's do the last one. We're going to pull that back up. Start by applying the color group and making sure that it is hue forward. And then we're going to add this color group. And again, now you can rearrange these manually or you can play with them. I tend to be a Illustrator player. I just like to get in here and push buttons. I find that sometimes the things that happen organically are frequently more interesting than maybe what I would have done. And so I think that's kind of fun to explore and to work with. I really want those to both be one of these blue colors, so I think I'm just going to play with it till we get there. Oh, I like that. I like that burgundy one too. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now I don't save the changes to the color group. All that's going to do is rearrange the colors, which is fine, but I just don't. They're fine where they are. And that is the Recolor Artwork Dialogue Box. One of the really interesting things is that this dialog box works with shapes, it works with patterns. It also works with illustrations. So if you have something that's interesting and you want to recolor the artwork, recolor the colors in it, you certainly can do that. It also works on a single color. So if I were to take this group, I'm going to make a copy of it because I really like it the way it is. And I didn't want to move all the colors consistently. I missed that last little rectangle. We'll grab the whole thing. If I wanted to change these independent of one another, I can also use Recolor Artwork Dialog Box to do that. So here's the dialog box. I'm going to choose this green and let's make it like, oh, let's make this rainbow. What the heck? So we'll go purple. We'll go with a nice saturated blue. We'll leave the green. We'll make this one yellow. We'll make this one on the orange side. And we'll make the last one red. And so you can create those colors independent of one another with the Recolor Artwork Dialog Box as well. Hope that was helpful.